Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the asteroid Eros in astrology. Now, the asteroid Eros can have certain significance in a horoscope and an astrology chart. It could indicate the kind of sexual partner that we may be, or prospective or potential sexual partner one may be infatuated or enamored with, but it may not necessarily be the one that we're really compatible with or we feel really at home with in other aspects in our life. But it's something where, Eros can be about having an insatiable urge for a certain kind, sexual urge for a certain kind of potential sexual partner. It could be someone, again, you could be very exceptionally attracted to, or the placement of Eros can indicate who we could be very strongly, the kind of person we might be sexually attracted to and so enraptured with that we could wind up being oblivious to their defaults, their transgressions, their shortcomings, or what have you. It's like the sexual instinct, the urge, this sexual urge that could be so overwhelming, almost inconquerable, can be so powerful that it may take precedence over everything else at the time. If somebody, let's say as an example, let's say if somebody has Eros in Capricorn in their fourth house in their natal chart. Well, this placement could be about somebody that might have a very overwhelming sexual attraction for people that are, it could somebody that may be very responsible, mature, even older, very professional, businesslike. But it could be somebody that could be motherly as well, given that it's in the fourth house. It might be somebody that might remind them of somebody that might be of a motherly type of person. And this is this is really, Eros can be really at least fairly strong, I believe, in a horoscope. I think there's a misconception by some people in astrology that, okay, well, it's an asteroid. Really, why, how does it have, why would this have certain significance? Now, planets in astrology, there's an argument they could actually, I would say the planets on average are more, in terms of their impact and their influence on a horoscope, at least a little bit stronger than the asteroids, but the asteroids can have certain importance. But anyway, let's go, continuing with Eros in astrology. Now, Eros in astrology, again, could be about all this, it could indicate by sign and house and, the kind of person that we could be sexually attracted to astrologically. And again, that urge could be so overpowering, so overwhelming, it might be very hard to resist. It's a lot of, the allure, the temptation, it just could be so great. It's just almost like this invincible energy that could be very hard to conquer. And even if you're not, even if it's that by sign, it may not be somebody that you're necessarily compatible with. Now, at the same time, Eros in astrology can also be about creative energy and ability. Let's say, for example, somebody has Eros in Aquarius in their ninth house in their natal chart. This could be somebody that could be putting some of their creative energy into something like something with ingenuity or electronics, like in sports, like in computers, like the robot umpires that people have come up with, or the electronic base paths, and also too, Eros in astrology can also be associated with a very strong, unbridled exuberance and enthusiasm we may have for something. So let's say, for example, somebody has Eros in Virgo in their natal chart. This could be somebody that might have a very strong enthusiasm and passion for analytics, being analytical, things that are health related, extrapolation of data. And of course, the house that it falls in can have some impact. It can impact the influence as well, because it could show where that energy could be going into, like the sector of life it could be going into. Now, if that falls in the fifth house, if somebody has Eros in Virgo in the fifth house, This could be a person that might be very interested. Let's say it's in the 8th house as an example. If somebody has Eros in Virgo in the 8th house in their natal chart, this could be a person that could be very strongly enamored with some kind with analytical or analytical psychology or analytical astrology, even because the 8th house can be connected with the occult, which includes astrology. Or it could be somebody that might be very infatuated with health transformation. And it could be that this could be something too where Eros in astrology, though strongly connected with that sexual energy that could be very powerful in terms of who we could be attracted to astrologically, could also be in some cases where, I mean, this could be very extreme energy. It could be in some cases where we might be completely rebuffed or turned off, or where we repudiate, basically reject this kind of person that we might actually loathe. I think a lot of that could be predicated and dependent on the other elements in your chart and whether or not you're actually, astrologically, if it's something that could be compatible. It doesn't mean in some cases that you couldn't be strongly sexually attracted to the person associated with the Eros sign, even if you have indicators in your chart that may suggest otherwise, because what it is, this is about the very powerful, overwhelming sexual attraction. You may be incompatible on some other levels, but at the same time, you might feel that this urge is so strong, and even if this person is just like very belligerent or recalcitrant, or they're just, they have a rough personality, and you don't really like them, you might be still enamored with them in as far as on a sexual level. Let's say, for example, though, as far as this, again, that this could be an Eros can be extreme in astrology in the sense is where in some cases it might manifest in energy. We may be sexually turned off by, let's say somebody has Eros in Aries. Now, if it doesn't work where you're really enamored or attracted to the positive Aries qualities in somebody, or it could be where you might be repelled by the abrasive or over-aggressive or forceful energy in connection with it. Now, if you have Eros in Aries and you have this insatiable, urge to be, somebody that may be it could be an Aries Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Aries characteristics, you might be turned on very strongly by the courageous, bold, spontaneous, and pioneering energy associated with that person. Now, aspects to astrological energy can be important, as well as that could, of course, impact this delineation in one's natal chart. Now, let's say that somebody has Eros in their astrology chart and it makes an adverse aspect to their natal Uranus. This could be somebody, now, again, going back to Eros in astrology, can be about things that we may actually lust for, that we have that we could be enamored with, we have this strong passion for. And if it makes an adverse aspect to Uranus, these things may be pursued somewhat intermittently or sporadically. I mean, let's say somebody, going back to Virgo, let's say that somebody has Eros in Virgo in their 5th house in their natal chart. This could be a person that might really be infatuated with extrapolating sports data and making projections, for sports games like football games, and even trying to project like their stats, statistical things associated with the football game. But let's say if it makes an adverse aspect to one's Uranus, this could be a person that might have periodic interruptions in this. And also Uranus can also be about friends, that friends may conflict with this passion, so to speak. Another example, let's say, if you have Eros opposite your natal Saturn in your chart, you may have an authority figure or father may oppose this Eros energy, whether it's tied into what you might have that exuberance or enthusiasm for, or that kind of person, that prospective sexual partner you may be strongly connected with. You feel that strong, powerful attraction for. Now, also too, keep in mind, now let's say somebody has another example. Let's say somebody has Eros in their natal chart, and it makes an adverse aspect to their natal Venus, or their seventh house cusp, or even their natal Juno, which can be about the marriage partner. Now, the Eros being that nearly unconquerable sexual energy, who you might be attracted to sexually, may conflict with the possible relationship marriage. If this person is already married, they need to be prudent and careful, because what it is, that energy can be conflicting. I mean, let's say that somebody has, as an example, they have their Eros in the zodiac sign Aquarius, and it makes a square to their Juno or their Venus or even their seventh house cusp in Taurus. Now, the fact is, they may be considering Eros would be an Aquarius in this example. This person might be exceptionally aroused by this what I call this near invincible sexual attraction, this near unconquerable sexual energy they may have, or attraction for somebody that might be very unorthodox, unique, unpredictable, eclectic, even eccentric. And it could be for an Aquarius sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Aquarius characteristics. But that could conflict with the kind of person that they may actually be married to, or the one that they may desire for in a marriage situation. Of course, in that example of Juno or Venus, or the seventh house cusp was in Taurus as an example, that could be somebody that might be more stable, down to earth, more pragmatic, more even monotonous, in some cases very stolid, very placid, somebody that's very predictable actually. And again, that could be a Taurus sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Taurus characteristics. So, I mean, these are some things to look at as far as Eros in astrology goes. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now another thing is that now if you have this another example I want to go back to, as far as Eros in astrology, what one may be, enamored with, as just some other another example. I mean, let's say, because Eros again could be connected with what one may have a strong exuberance or enthusiasm for. Let's say somebody has Eros and Pisces in their fifth house in their natal chart. This could be somebody that could be very enamored with hypothetical sports matchups, and even even on a creative level. I mean, because this could be about strong creative energy one may express as well. On a creative level, it might be somebody that might like to play, hypothetical simulated, tournaments with legendary teams from the past, whether it could be pro baseball teams of the past or pro football, like in pro football, for example, like playing the 1985 Chicago Bears against the 1990 New York Giants, as an example. But anyway, and also too, I mean, as far as some example, like in synastry, basic example here, let's say somebody in their natal chart, they have their natal Eros conjunct somebody's ascendant sun or moon in synastry. Now, this could be a very, obviously a very powerful attraction if it's conjunct the ascendant. Of course, that could be on a very strong physical level, and that person, the ascendant person, might be so alluring. The allure of the ascendant person on a physical level could be very powerful, and this person might be, again, have very, strong sexual connection for that person, for the ascendant person. But the thing is, if it's conjunct the other person's moon, let's say somebody has Eros conjunct the other person's moon in synastry, it could be more of an unconscious level. If it's conjunct the other person's natal sun, That could be more as far as being very strongly sexually attracted to the other person's basic character. So, and say if this is, I mean, going as an example, let's say if this is in Gemini, and let's say again going back to the ascendant example, if somebody's Eros conjuncts the other person's natal ascendant, it's in Gemini. Well, this could be a person that might be very attracted to perhaps the youthful, very animated look of the Gemini rising person, and the outer character, and the very outer characteristics that the person can project readily, such as the very perhaps the loquacious energy of the Gemini rising person, the very versatile, the very spirited energy of that Gemini rising person, quick-wittedness. So those are some things that to look at as far as that goes, as example goes, in as far as Eros and synastry and astrology. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.